Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to show you how to make a 4-strand round braid keychain lanyard. It's going to combine a couple concepts that we've used recently in videos, so we'll reference those throughout. For this project, you're only going to need 15 feet of paracord, and then it's going to help to have a binder clip as well to clip your cords in place while you're working on a different end. And then, as for all of our projects, you just need scissors and a lighter. Let's dive in. So to start off, we just want to cut our cord into 4 equal lengths. So I'm going to fold it in half, and then fold it in half again. So we've got our 4 cords, and then we'll just cut all the ends. So I've got a loop on this end, and then I'll cut this end down as well. Then you want to seal all those with the lighter so your ends don't fray. Alright, so then when you're done with that, you want to line up all of your cords and find the middle. So fold it in half again. And we're going to be starting right there. I'm just going to clamp that in our binder clip. We're going to be weaving one way and then weaving the other way. You can start at one end, it's just a little bit harder to judge where to start. So the method for the majority of the lanyard is going to be a 4-strand round braid. And we've done that before for a duck call lanyard video and for a few others, for a dog leash. How that works is you want to split your 4 cords to 4 sides. And then we're going to be crossing over our opposite sides. So first I'm going to take these 2 sides and cross them over each other. And then these 2 sides and cross them over each other. And the one thing to keep in mind while you're doing this is that you want one pair to go clockwise and the other to go counterclockwise. So this one is going clockwise around each other. We've got our one going up to the left, another going down to the right. And on these ones, we just want to go counterclockwise then. So our top one is going to the left, our bottom one to the right. So they're wrapping around each other counterclockwise. So we're just going to keep on making that pattern for about 6 inches. So there's my 6 inches. Now I'm just going to cross the cords over and tie an overhand knot to keep them in place, just temporarily. So grab 2 opposite cords and just do an overhand knot like you would for your shoelaces. So that should keep it for now. And now we'll go back to the other end and do 6 more inches out the other way. And again, you can start on one end of this 4-strand round braid. It's just a little bit harder to tell where to start because we want all of our cord ends to be pretty even. So once you've got a foot long of that 4-strand round braid, you can go ahead and stop that. I put a knot in each side just to hold it while I'm showing you. But this next part is kind of the tricky part. I can't give you exact directions on it because it's not an exact science, but we're going to be combining those 4 strands from each side into an 8-strand plait. Plaiting is kind of like braiding, and I'll explain how this goes. So go ahead and undo each overhand knot that you've got on the sides. And now, to combine them all, I'm going to kind of weave them across each other. I don't have an exact way of doing this, but once we get them all together, then I'll be showing you the method. Okay, so you'll just want to cross over some of your cords, weave them back and forth a little bit so that nothing is showing a lot on the top, because we want to kind of continue this weave pattern here. I've got another set that you can see done. We just don't want one cord wrapping all the way around to be tucked into this 8-strand plait. So it might take a couple times of starting that and getting it to work for you. But you want to end up with 4 cords on either side. This is the same method that a lot of people use for like making paracord whips and other larger round straps. So we're going to take the top cord on one side and wrap it all the way around the back until it comes out the other side. And then we're going to weave it through these 4. So we want to go over the first one, under the second, over the third, and under the fourth. So then it should end up on the same side that you started. So it was the top one before, it's wrapped around, and now it's this bottom cord. We want to alternate on our sides, so next we're going to take this top cord and do the same thing. You just want to pull all of your cords tight as you go, otherwise you're going to get a flat plate instead of a round plate. So to do that one more time, left side now, around the back, and then over, under, over, under. So it's looking pretty flat right now, but once we pull those cords that we just wove, so these bottom two, it's going to kind of pull into a round pattern. You can pull on them pretty hard because you want all of them to be really tight. And give your other cords a tug too, so you don't leave any extra bumps in there. So you've got this one that kind of goes over the top. That's not quite desirable, but it's not a big deal. So now to keep on going, we're on our right side now. Bring that cord around the back, and then pleat it through the other side. And I got my cords a little bit mixed up here. Over, oops, over, under, and back to the other side. We'll just do that a couple more times until we get all of the cords integrated into that 8-strand plate. All right, so when you're finished, it should look something like this. Just did about an inch or two of that weave. Then I'm going to take the bottom 4 cords, so that's these here, and just pull them straight. We're going to take these other 4 cords and be making a box knot, or sinnet knot. So I'm going to clamp these 4 just so that I keep them straight. So you just want each cord sitting out to one side, ignoring these bottom 4 here. So I'm just going to now start a box knot by taking this one and putting it over the top of the one next to it. We'll do the same with this one. So it's going to go over that cord, obviously, and then over the one next to it over here. And this cord does the same thing. I'm going to flip this to the other side now. So this cord goes over the next 2. And this cord goes over the next 2. So that's this tail end, and then down through this loop to finish it off. So I can flip it over here again. Bring this cord down through the loop. Then you can pull that knot tight. So just pull on all 4 corners. I know it's kind of a hassle with your 4 other cords in the middle here. So I want to cinch that down around it. And this is essentially just to make a base to tie our man rope knot with at the end, because we start with a box knot. So you can take that clip off, because that's probably just causing more harm than good at this point. We've got our 4 cords going off in 4 different directions again. So after you have that first box knot tied, we can go ahead and clip our middle cords. You want to be careful doing that because you can't go back and readjust your knot. So you want to make sure it's satisfactory before moving on. But we're just going to clip them right down in front of that box knot. And then before they slip through your knot, you want to hurry up and seal those ends. All right, so now those are out of the way and we're ready to move on to our man rope knot. So to make a man rope knot, it's going to be using these same concepts of a box knot, but this next one is going to be upside down. So we're going to move to the left again like we did before, but each cord is going to go underneath the other one instead of over the top. So this one goes underneath here, next one goes underneath both of those. Then continuing on, this cord goes underneath both of these over to the right, and this one goes underneath these 2, so it needs to come up through that hole. So this is what that looks like before we move on. Then once you have your upside down wall knot constructed, we're going to be making a right side up one right on top of that. So just like before, we're going to take one cord, put it over the one next to it, over the next 2, over the next 2, and over the next 2. So this last one goes down through this loop right here. And don't worry, I'll display this all out so you can see which cords are going where before we tighten it down a little bit. Okay, so now we want to tighten both those knots down a little bit. That right side up one is just going to kind of sit right on top of our upside down one. And as long as you don't let any of your cords slip out, it should be right if you have it like we showed there. All right, so now we should have a cord on each side still, and we're going to be following the cords back through the knot. And don't worry, we'll make it simple so you know which cord to follow. This cord here, it's coming out parallel to this one right here. This cord coming out parallel to this one right here. So we just want to follow this cord back through the knot. So we're going to follow it underneath the backside to go up through the same loop. So it's going to end on the top right now. We just want to do that with each one of the cords. So going around to this next one, this next loose end, it's coming out parallel to this guy right here. So you just want to follow that cord all the way through. So up through that same loop to come up the top right here. So we've got a pretty complicated knot on our hands here, and we're almost finished. We just want to tuck each one of those ends down back through the knot so they end on the bottom. So I'm going to cinch this down a little bit so we can see what we're working with a little bit easier. One note, as we're tightening this down, it'll have a tendency to want to tighten way down here, and we want to push it up past the end of the cord. So we want to hide all of those ends inside of the knot. So the last tricky step before we tighten this all down and call it quits is that we want to pull one loop from inside of our knot to come out the front, and that's going to be the loop that we attach our keychain to. So that original box knot, I've been telling you to push the knot over the ends. I'm going to push it back over now so we can see what we're doing just for a minute. In that original box knot that we used to seal off these ends, we just want to pull one loop out. So just choose a loop. So I'll use that one right there. I want to give it some slack, so you might have to follow it through the knot. And this is kind of an atypical way of doing things, but it actually creates a pretty nice result. So I've got a loop pulled out the middle right here. And that's not going to affect the integrity of our original knot. It's all going to be tightened down inside. So that's a nice sized loop there. So now I can leave that and tighten down these cords a little bit more. And I lied, after we get that loop out, we still have to bury these ends down through the knot. So just continue following that cord that you followed initially. So I'll just grab this one right here. This cord's sticking out the top, and it's following alongside this cord. So I want to continue following it around, and where that bends into the knot again, I'm going to grab a fid so you can see what I'm doing. But you don't need a fid, because our knot's not tightened yet. So where this cord follows this one around, I just want to go right alongside of it and poke it all the way down through the knot. So we're not following that cord anymore. We just want to follow it as far as it goes under another one, and then bury it all the way down through the knot. And that's going to hide our ends. So do that with all 4 cords. I'll do one more here on camera. So the next one around to the circle, we're following alongside of this one. So this cord here is following alongside this one. So we just want to go to where our original cord goes underneath something. At that point, we're going to slip our end down through the center of our knot. Like that. All right, so now that you've finished that torturous process of tightening down your knot, we're going to clip the ends and kind of push them into the knot. Because they end on the bottom side here, we can easily clip them and just kind of tuck the ends underneath. Thanks for sticking with us on this one. If you haven't ever done a man rope knot before, I really would suggest checking out that other video first and mastering that concept before moving on to this and combining with some other things. So just finish that off. Clip your ends. Then we're not going to melt them as much as usual. We just want to barely singe the ends so that they don't fray, but then we're going to tuck them underneath. You just want to be careful that you aren't melting the paracord around this as you do it. All right, and I like to use the back end of a fid, but you can use whatever you have lying around and just tuck those ends up underneath your knots. They aren't showing. And there's our finished keychain. You can definitely make this one longer and wear it around your neck. I kind of like this size. I can just stick it around my wrist and fits in my pocket easily. Again, thanks for joining us. Hope you guys were able to follow along with this one and make it for yourselves. If you liked this tutorial, please stick around. We put out videos twice a week on things like paracord crafting and EDC items like this. We'll put a link in the description to where you can buy paracord if you don't have a supplier already. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.